Hello everyone, welcome back to the session today. So I'm going to begin with the report for the mock assessment. I understand end of the year some of you may not be taking part, but still I want to show you the report of the mock assessment that you have taken on the tool. So let's take a look. So this is the report for 27th, 28th and 29th. I'm going to expand this just a little bit more so that it's easier for you to see. So total number of assessments for 27th is 194, but only 97 are valid. So the remaining ones are actually invalid. So out of 242 assessments taken, only 130 are valid, 112 are invalid. It's invalid because the duration is 0 or the duration is blank. If the duration is 0 or blank, obviously it will not record the score. Time and again I have been requesting you, please do submit the assessment, please do submit the answers. If you do not submit the answers and submit the assessment, it will not record it. Even in the main exam, you have to ensure during the online exam, you have to submit the answer, and once you have submitted all the answer, you need to submit the entire paper as well, submit the assessment. If you don't do that, you will miss out on an opportunity because of one small mistake. All right. So the total number of valid assessment is only 130. I want to show you the entire report here. So this is 130. Out of this 130, I'll quickly check how many are verbal and how many are aptitude. So we have a total of 78. Okay, so let me write it down. Aptitude 78, verbal is 52. Okay, so this is for overall 3 days report. 78 assessments were taken on aptitude and 52 assessments were taken for verbal. Now let me look at the name. All right, here we go. So the highest number of assessments were actually taken by Supriya. Oh, I'm sorry, Harita. Harita 18 assessments, Sunanda 17, Sai Tanuja 13, and then on it's only single digit. So let's quickly check which college they are from. So this is SPY Degree College. The second one is Pragati Degree College, and Sai Tanuja is also from SPY Degree College. So total number of colleges that have attended is 11. So 11 colleges, and the total number of students is 35. Only 35 students out of 8,000 students have taken the assessment in last 3 days. The numbers are extremely poor, 0.1%. Guys, please pay more attention, practice more. If you do not practice on regular basis, you may not even be able to appear for Infosys Drive. So please spend some time. All right. I'm going to quickly take you through the assessment tool. This is just to ensure we are on the same page. We understand how to go about the mock assessments. So once you log in, you have the assessment tab on the left side. Pick the Infosys quantitative aptitude. Whichever assessment you want, you can attempt 10 times, and this is valid till 31st. Okay. Once you say start, the clock will start ticking. Let me zoom it out. You see this clock is ticking here. Okay. So it's a reverse countdown. Now whatever answer you pick, you have to ensure you click on save and next. The moment you do that, this will turn green and the tile will also turn green. In case if you are not sure, you can say mark for review and next. If you want to skip, you need to click on skip. When you click on skip, it remains gray. The yellow tile basically means that's the current question. So I say save and next here. Again save and next. So and number 6 also I say save and next, which means 6 questions I have attempted. One is blue and one is gray. Gray means I have skipped it. I can click there. I can select the answer, say save and next. Blue means I need to review it. I go back to question number 2. I change the answer. I say save and next. If any particular question I've already said save and next, I can still change it and again say save and next. Once I am picking an answer, I need to click on save and next. Only then the answer will get recorded, otherwise it will not. And that's not all. When I come to the end of the assessment, I need to click on submit assessment and click on OK. I need to see this message. Your assessment has been successfully submitted. Once this is done, only then it means the scores have been recorded and it will show up on the scorebook. I come to scorebook, I can double click and I will get the latest one. So the latest one is today, which is 3:30, 15:31, 30th of December. I can click on view paper. Here it shows what is the assessment name. The duration is 1 minute. If the duration is 0, it will be termed as invalid. So the duration is 1 minute here. Let me expand this a little. The duration is 1. The total marks is 30 and I have scored only 4 marks because only 4 are correct. 7 are incorrect because I have answered how many? So 7 are answered, 4 are correct, 3 are incorrect. 23 I have left unattended. So against each question, I can figure if it's a correct or incorrect answer. Okay. So the tool is extremely self-explanatory. I can go back to my snapshot. I can click on snapshot, change any information here, or I can click on my progress. I can pick a particular date range. Okay, it shows total assessment available is 143, answered 28. These many assessments I have answered, these many are unanswered, and this is my performance graph. So I can see if I am improving or not. I can change if I want only aptitude. I say fine, I can check the date again. Now I will only have any specific area of assessment. All right. So what I'm trying to tell you is the more you practice here, it's better for you. It will make you better. It will make you perfect, because in your main exam, the race is against two aspects. One is against the time. Second one is against the accuracy. You need to answer all the questions within the stipulated time, but you also need to ensure your answers are correct. So you got to be very careful there, because all you get is just one chance. All right. So as far as the Infosys verbal ability is concerned, pretty much all the 4 areas are covered. I'm just going to do this a little more again, just a moment. I'm going to explain to you the Infosys pattern so that you have absolute clarity in terms of the written test, what kind of questions they will ask. So you will have analytical and verbal ability in written test. For analytical, you will have 30 questions that needs to be answered in 40 minutes. You will have questions from quantitative aptitude and reasoning, and then you will have verbal ability where you will have 40 questions that needs to be answered in 30 minutes. The questions for aptitude will be from data interpretation, syllogism, data sufficiency, problems on trains, time and work, permutation and combination, number series, coding and decoding, and puzzles. For verbal ability, you will have questions from critical reasoning or theme detection, fill in the blanks, sentence correction or spotting errors, reading comprehension. So theme detection, fill in the blanks, sentence correction or spotting errors, and reading comprehension, we have done extensive practice and understanding. I'm going to do passage comprehension once again today, some more new topics that I got so that our understanding is better. All right. Now what exactly happens in passage comprehension? You will be given a particular paragraph. Based on that paragraph, you will have 5 questions that needs to be answered. The answer for these 5 questions will be in the paragraph itself. Some of it will be very straightforward, some of it will be little twisted. Straightforward in the sense, for example, the passage says a person by the name David was born in 1990. At the age of 5, he joined a music school. Okay, so he was born in 1990. At the age of 5, he joined a music school. Now the question will be, in which year did David join the music school? 1993, 1995, 1996, 1997. Now you need to obviously analyze. If he is born in 95, if he is 5 years old, it's 95, which means you need to pay attention to certain important aspect in the passage in terms of numbers, in terms of years, in terms of incidents. There could be some question which is straightforward, like a twisted question like this, what I was talking about, where the answer is not mentioned very clearly. You need to analyze. Okay. Now there could be another question which is little straightforward, but obviously you need to think. For example, how long did David spend in the music school? And it says he graduated from the music school in the year 2015. So obviously the year is mentioned, you just have to calculate the number of years spent. So these are ways of finding out a couple of key aspects or key competencies that a person should have. Number one is your understanding. When you read something, are you able to understand it clearly or not? It's very important to gauge this because in any office environment, any multinational company or any corporate, most of your communication will happen through email, and you will be reading something and you will analyze and you will decode and respond to it. So they check, is your understanding skills are good? Is your comprehension skills are good? Based on what you are reading, are you picking the literal meaning or are you looking at the inner meaning? What do we mean by literal meaning? Say for example, while I am talking, somebody says there is a phone call for you and I say please hang on for 5 minutes. When I say hang on for 5 minutes, it doesn't mean he has to hang from a rope. It means please wait for 5 minutes. So when you are reading, are you understanding or picking the literal meaning? These are certain areas which they gauge you on in terms of comprehension. And your attention to detail. Are you looking and reading in detail and then you are answering? There are certain ways of answering passage comprehension to make it easy for you. So I'm going to take you through a recap, but I will obviously speak a little bit more in detail. So the certain comprehension tips that I have put together for you. Number one is read the passage very carefully. Number two is underline key information. Just make a note of these. Obviously you won't be able to underline on the system, so you can just carry a pen and paper and make a note of these. Dates, years, numbers, persons, incidents or events. Pay attention to the subject of the passage, which or what is the precise thing the author is talking about. Main idea of the passage, what the author is saying about the subject. Tone of the author of the passage, which is the manner the author has adopted in the passage. Is he agreeing to it? Is he disagreeing? Is he narrating? Is he questioning? Is he doubting? All that. Okay. Now, to understand the structure, you need to understand the gist. The gist is nothing but the general idea. When you add the structure and tone to the general idea, put it together, it becomes a gist. This will help to build a thematic composition and logical sequence of the passage. Basically means when you put together the general idea, the structure and the tone, you will get to know what is the general theme of the entire passage and what is the sequence of it, what is happening first and what is happening next. Sometimes what has happened now will be mentioned first, what has happened in the past, for example flashback, will be mentioned in the next paragraph. But when you read it, you will understand in terms of the sequence of event, paragraph number 2 happened first and then paragraph number 1. Just because the author is mentioning the past as a flashback, obviously doesn't mean it happened later. Okay. Now, important aspect in terms of identifying the structural words, the most common structural words are given below: continuity words, contrast words, conclusion words. So, there are words which will help the author continue. Contrast means a contrarian point of view or an opposite view, or conclusion where he is concluding his idea. So, continuity words, the author would support his point of view further. The further is the key word here. Contrast words, the author would introduce a contrarian point of view, which means an opposite point of view. Conclusion, the author would sum up his argument so far. So, there could be conclusion in each paragraph, doesn't really matter. Some examples of continuity words, contrast words and conclusion words. Continuity words, for example, similarly, moreover, additionally, in the same way, likewise. Contrast words, nonetheless, however, but, although, despite. Thus, therefore, hence, in summary, in conclusion, these are some of the examples of conclusion words. So, let me write a sentence to give you a fair idea of these words. Okay. Okay, first and foremost, I am going to talk about the continuity words. So, let us look at these. So, what are the continuity words? Similarly, moreover, let me expand this a bit. Okay. Similarly, moreover, additionally, in the same way, likewise. So, let me write a sentence for each one of them. First one. So, I am using the first word here. The program was designed to help the students learn. Similarly, the assessments were meant to check the knowledge retention. So, I am using the word similarly as a continuity. I am basically continuing what I am saying. Moreover, now let me use moreover, same context. The students were very keen participants during the program. Moreover, they were very clear about the objective. So basically the students were keen to learn because they knew why the program is done. Additionally, the students participated in the mock assessment. Additionally, they also stayed back till 8 p.m. for mock interview, which means I'm continuing, I'm supporting the statement. In the same way, so I'm just using that in the same sentence. In the same way, the trainers too supported the program. Or I can say, likewise, the trainers too supported the program. So what I'm doing, I'm using the continuity words here. I'm continuing what I have said before. I'm supporting it. The author would support his point of view further. Now let's look at some examples of contrast words. All right. Contrast words, what do we mean by contrast words? Means opposite point of view or contrarian point of view. So let's start. One of the students was late for the panel interview. Nonetheless, he was allowed to attend the interview as he was a bright student. The reason I am using nonetheless here, because if somebody is late, one of the students was late, that means he should not get allowed, but he got allowed. Basically, it's the opposite incident that is happening here. That is what I am mentioning. Next, however. One of the students was very upset for not being selected. However, she got another opportunity from an MNC. So she did not get selected. She was very upset. However means, but she was happy because something good happened. So bad and good together. Opposite point of view, contrarian point of view. Now I can, instead of using however, I can also use but. Both are fine. But and however, both are fine. It's just that but is a more negative term, however is a more positive term. So when you want to bring positivity into your statement, you should use however, but if you want to retain negativism, you can use but we always suggest, we always encourage people to use the term however instead of but. Okay. Although she was late for the interview, she got the permission to attend it. I can use despite being late for the interview, she got the permission to attend it. If I use despite, I cannot use of. Despite of is not needed, it's just despite. Alright. Now let's use some examples of the conclusion words. Now conclusion word, basically what does it mean? Conclusion word means the author would sum up his argument so far. So let's look at this. Thus, a total of 300 students got selected from the college. Thus, it was a really successful drive. So, I am concluding it. I won't be able to reach the airport by 8 p.m. Therefore, I request you to leave without me. I am using therefore, I am concluding it. I can replace the therefore with hence. Hence, I request you. In summary, in conclusion, these are common words that we anyways use. Alright. So, when you look at these words in the passage, you can read these. In case if you find a continuity word, you can immediately understand what it means. What is the author trying to say, or contrast word, what the author is trying to say, or conclusion word, what the author is trying to say. Okay. Now, in terms of the approach, you can either do PQ approach, the passage first and then the questions, or QP approach, where the question you will read first and then the passage. Let's look at an example. I can either read this entire passage first, top to bottom, and then I start answering. Or what I can do is I can read the questions first. See, this is question number 1. Then I go back and read. So first what I do, I read the question. This is the best way. I read this entire question. I read the entire passage. Now that I have read the entire passage, I will remember which information is where. I can answer this. When I read this question, I will know where to find the answer. Which means I am reading question number 1 first, then I am reading the entire passage. I go back, answer question number 1. When I go to question number 2, I will remember that information where can I find in the passage, which line or which place. This way it saves a lot of time. Passage comprehension is little time consuming, but if you follow the question first and passage next approach, you can save some time. Alright. We're going to take a quick break right now. Once I'm back, I have like 4 to 5 sample passages for comprehension practice, which we will do today. Alright, so I'll see you after a quick break. Welcome back, everyone. So I've explained about passage comprehension and the steps and how to approach it. Now let's look at a couple of examples here. So here's the first passage for the exam for our practice. Many sociologists have argued that there is functional relationship between education and economic system. They point to the fact that mass formal education began in industrial society. They note that the expansion of economies of industrial societies is accompanied by corresponding expansion of their educational systems. They explain this correspondence in terms of needs of industry for skilled and trained manpower, needs which are met by the educational system. Thus, the provision of mass elementary education in Britain in 1870 can be seen as a response to the needs of industry for a literate and numerate workforce at a time when industrial processes were becoming more complex and demand for technical skills was steadily growing. It's basically talking about 1870 era in Britain, in United Kingdom. The overall gist of this particular passage basically means how education is important. A formal elementary school education is important for people to grow skills, grow knowledge, and these are the people who will help an industry grow or an economy build, because any industry is crucial to build an economy, and to build an industry you need people, and people need to have knowledge and skill. In order to do that, they need to have good education. So the basic education or the elementary education is very, very essential, where people are not only literate but they are also knowledgeable. Now let's read the passage again, you will understand it better. Let's start. Many sociologists have argued that there is a functional relationship between education and economic system. What is this function? If the education is good, the economy will be good. How? Because of education, people will learn, they will get skilled, they will work in industry. When the industry does better, obviously the economy grows. So there is a direct correlation. Many sociologists have argued that there is a functional relationship between the education and economic system. They point to the fact that mass formal education began in industrial society. They note that the expansion of the economies of industrial societies is accompanied by a corresponding expansion of their educational system. They explain this correspondence in terms of needs of industry for skilled and trained manpower, needs which are met by the educational system. Thus, the provision of mass elementary education in Britain in 1870 can be seen as a response to the needs of industry for a literate and numerate workforce at a time when industrial processes were becoming more complex and demand for technical skills was steadily growing. Now let's read the first question. The industry needs a literate workforce because its expansion needs sound learning. It relies heavily on expertise. It promotes a competitive spirit. Its operations needs intricate technical knowledge. I repeat, the industry needs a literate workforce because its expansion needs sound learning. It relies heavily on expertise. It promotes a competitive spirit. Its operations need intricate technical knowledge. Now, if I go back, here it's talking about this whole aspect. They explain this correspondence in terms of the needs of industry for skilled and trained manpower, needs which are met by educational system. Thus, the provision of mass elementary education can be seen as a response to the needs of the industry for a literate and numerate workforce at a time when industrial processes were becoming more complex and demand for technical skills was growing. Question: the industry needs a literate workforce because its expansion needs sound learning. It relies heavily on expertise. It promotes a competitive spirit. Its operations needs intricate technical knowledge. The correct answer is, of course, its operations needs intricate technical knowledge. If people are literate, if people are knowledgeable, if they are getting formal education, they can be trained and it will help the industry grow. All right. Next question. The author argues that formal education can be traced to industrial society. Industrial society is responsible for expansion of education at a mass level. Industrial society gave rise to vocational education. Industrial society changed the pattern of education. And the correct answer, of course, is the first one. Formal education can be traced to industrial society. Wherever there is an industrial society, formal education is present, because if there is no formal education, there cannot be a developed industrial society. Next, the observation of the sociologists are based on a study of the statistical data available in the historical context, economic system of 19th century, the correlation between industry and education in a historical context, growth of industry in 19th century. The observation of sociologists are based on study of the statistical data available in a historical context, economic system of the 19th century, the correlation between industry and education in a historical context, growth of industry in 19th century. So this particular incident is about 1870. 1870 means 19th century, where the industries were growing and expanding. That's why option D is the correct answer. All right. Next question. The sociologists referred to it in the passage say that the relationship between industry and elementary education was one based on mutual need, based entirely on the need of industry, based entirely on economic need, based on some inexplicable historical forces. Inexplicable historical forces means you cannot really explain it, but that is not the fact. It's based on entirely on need of industry. The industry needs skilled manpower. The industry needs knowledgeable workforce. To get such people who have knowledge and who have skill, you need to educate them. And to educate them, you need to have a formal education system. So this sociologists refer to it in the passage say that the relationship between the industry and the elementary education was one based entirely on the need of industry. Next question. By functional relationship is meant a short-term relationship, practical and utilitarian relationship, temporary arrangement, close and unbreakable relationship. Close and unbreakable like father-mother, husband-wife, friends. Short-term means you meet a person for 6 months, when you go for a training, you speak to that person, be friends, then you forget about it. Practical and utilitarian means where both of them are getting benefit. It's a win-win situation. That's why option B is the correct answer. Functional relationship is meant a practical and utilitarian relationship. All right, I'm moving on to the next paragraph. This is a little longer one, so I will read little slowly. It is to progress in the human sciences that we must look to undo the evils which have resulted from the knowledge of physical world hastily and superficially acquired by population, unconscious of the changes in themselves that the new knowledge has imperative. Basically means human sciences, when we read about human sciences or human behavior, whatever we see in a superficial manner, we tend to adopt it. We don't look at the inner meaning of it. Today, if you look at any society, everybody is very, very superficial. You get judged by what kind of phone you use. You get judged by what kind of clothes you are wearing. So basically, your behavior is based on what you see on the surface. You don't go deeper down. All right, that is what it means. The road to a happier world than any known in the past lies upon before us if atavistic destructive passion can be kept in leash while the necessary adaptations are made. Fears are inevitable in time, but hopes are equally rational and far more likely to bear good fruit. We must learn to think rather less of the dangers to be avoided than of the good that will lie within our grasp if we can believe in it and let it dominate our thoughts. Since whatever unpleasant consequences it may have, by the way, is in its very nature a liberator, a liberator of bondage to physical nature and time to come, a liberator from weight of destructive passions. We are on the threshold of utter disaster or unprecedentedly glorious achievement. No previous age has been fraught with problems so momentous, and it is to science that we must look to for a happy future. The deeper meaning of this particular passage is about the sense of happiness. Today we derive happiness out of momentary things, out of temporary stuff, out of materialistic stuff. So it talks about how our behavior has changed, how our attitude has changed. Alright, and we need to liberate us, we need to take a freedom from these kind of superficial mindset. Let's read the first question. What does science liberate us from? It liberates us from fears and destructive passions, slavery to physical nature and from passions, bondage to physical nature, idealistic hopes of glorious future. And the correct answer is, of course, slavery of physical nature and from passions, where you are not confined to something which is superficial. Should human sciences be developed because they will provide more knowledge of the physical world, make us conscious of the changing world, make us conscious of the changing in ourselves? Just a moment, I need to make a little changes here. Provide more knowledge of the physical world, make us conscious of the changing world, make us conscious of the change in ourselves, eliminate the destruction caused by a superficial knowledge of the physical world. Science is basically meant to decode what is superficial and what is natural. So of course you will eliminate the destruction caused by superficial knowledge. Next, if a man's bestial yearning is controlled, means if his desires are controlled, the future will be tolerable, the future will be brighter than the present will be brighter than the future, the present will become tolerable. Tolerable means you can adopt, you can take it. But the inner meaning here, how you can make a better tomorrow. So the future will be brighter than the present. If we make changes in our behavior, then our tomorrow will be better than today. Fears and hopes, according to author, are closely linked with the life of modern man, can bear fruit, can yield good results, are irrational. Irrational is the opposite of rational. Rational means logical. Are closely linked with the life of a modern man, can bear fruit, can yield good results, means can fetch you good results, and illogical. So fears and hopes, according to the author, are closely linked with the life of modern man, because whatever the man's behavior is, he gets fear out of it and builds hope out of it. Say for example, you have a person who has the habit of spending a lot of money on cell phones. He has 2-3 iPhone or Samsung phone, so he just likes to buy more and more phones. Obviously he will have the fear that he will lose it. Okay, imagine a man spends a lot of money on gambling or buying lottery ticket. So he will have the hope that one day he will earn a lot of money through lottery, but he will end up spending all his money. So basically fears and hopes, like it says on the slide, fears and hopes, according to the author, are closely linked with the life of modern man. To carve out a bright future, man should analyze dangers that lie ahead, try to avoid dangers, overcome fear and dangers, cultivate a positive outlook. So you should be positive, you should look at what will fetch you the best results. Alright. So likewise, one more paragraph I am going to take you through, which is a little smaller one. Okay. Okay, let's look at this one, just a moment. Okay, let's look at this one. Rest of the passages are pretty big. Sometimes we went off the road and on open path through the pine forest. Pine is a kind of a tree. Okay, in hilly areas, in mountains, colder areas, you will find a lot of pine trees, pine forest. The floor of the forest was soft to walk on. The frost did not happen. Frost means those snow. The frost did not happen it as it did the road. but we did not mind the hardness of the road because we had nails in the soles and heels. Nails bit on the frozen ruts with nails and nail boots, and it was good walking on the road. I lost the line. Walking on the road and invigorating. It was lovely walking on the woods. Basically, it's talking about an experience walking on a forest where there is a lot of ice, lot of snow. Invigorating means finding the way, walking little carefully. Okay. So let's look at the first question. Frozen ruts mean very cold roads. Now let's look at the last line. I'm going to read from here. But we did not mind the hardness of the road because we had nails in the soles and heels. Nails bit on the frozen ruts and with nail boots. So frozen ruts means very cold road, wheel marks in which forest had become hard, the road covered with frost, hard road covered with snow. So of course we are talking about the frost here, not the snow. Frost is different, snow is different. Okay, the road covered with frost. The floor of the forest was soft because the forest did not harden it on account of trees. The travelers were wearing boots. The shoes had nails on their soles and heel. They enjoyed walking on the woods. If you enjoy doesn't mean the forest was soft, right? So of course the correct answer is the forest did not harden it on account of trees. When there are a lot of trees, the forest floor will not get hardened because of the leaves. Next, we did not mind the hardness of road because we had nail boots on. It was good walking on the road. The walk was refreshing. The nails bit on frozen road. We did not mind hardness of the road because the boots had nails. So when you see people, mountaineers, when they are walking on a snow-capped field, there are nails so that it can get proper grip. Alright, so we had nail boots on. We found great joy on account of wearing nail boots, a good long walk on the road, walking occasionally through the forest, walking on frost with nail boots on. So it's talking about the nail boots and frost. Frost is, for example, if you take a glass of water and just a little water and put a lot of ice. So the outer surface of the glass will gather a little steam kind of surface, and it just gathers a very thin sheet of ice. That's a frost. Every refrigerator will have a frost-free refrigerator cooling system, right, where you can remove the frost. So that is what the frost is about. Ice is different, snow is different, frost is different. Last question on this passage. Sometimes we walked through the pine forest as the path was unaffected by the frost. It was good walking with nails in the boots. The walk was invigorating. It was sheer joy to walk in the forest. So just because the word invigorating is there, don't get confused. It was nice. Sometimes we walked through the pine forest as the path was unaffected by frost. Means even though it was snowing, the path did not have much of frost. Clear? So that's about it for today. I did some more examples of passage comprehension for you. I haven't been getting any emails from any one of you asking questions, neither I'm getting any calls. It could be because of the holiday time. Some of you may have a college holiday, not really paying attention and watching. That's fine. Tomorrow is the last day of the year. I will do a recap on all the areas of Infosys, verbal ability, theme detection, passage I have done, some more spotting errors and fill in the blanks and sentence correction. Meanwhile, whatever questions you have, please do feel free to call and ask these questions. Alright, thank you so much. Please do practice on the assessment tool. I will definitely pull up the report for today and speak about it tomorrow. Thank you so much.